There's been a lot of talk recently about the Los Angeles Lakers possibly hiring J.J. Redick as their next head coach. Well, Woj just dropped a bomb on that, speaking on the Lakers prepare to offer a big contract to Dan Hurley to become their next head coach. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm one of the hosts here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content. So, Woj just started off today dropping a bomb. He might as well have called it Meet the Shams because he just completely crapped on Shams' reporting of J.J. Redick potentially being the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. It actually seems like the Lakers have now pivoted toward UConn Huskies coach Dan Hurley. We're going to play a little clip from Shams here.
The Lakers over the next few days are in a full court press to convince Dan Hurley to come to LA. He has told them that he wants to hear them out. And I think the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, they want to put a program in place in LA. They don't want to just have coach to coach. They want to put a program in for the long term. They want Dan Hurley's player development program. The NBA is changing. You can't in LA anymore just trade 3 or 4 first-round picks to bring in a star player and think you can have a roster that can win. That is how they got Anthony Davis. But you are seeing you have to draft well. You have to develop your young players. And in LA, I think the belief is always you're going to be able to get the star player who finds his way to LA. But you're going to have to grow your young players. And the idea of Bronny James and the Lakers, they have the 55th pick. Who better, potentially, than Dan Hurley to be the development coach, to lead his growth than the coach who's, really dominated the college sport. You talk about, X's and O acumen, player development. There's been more than one NBA coach who has said to me in recent months, talking about, even as they're watching tape on UConn for Donovan Clingan or Stephen Castle or others, they talk about the sophistication of UConn's offense. And I've had more than one coach say, this would really translate to our league. And certainly Rob Pelinka has recognized that. And from day one of this Lakers search, guys, it has been Dan Hurley. Now, they've interviewed other candidates. They don't know whether they can get Dan Hurley. So they have certainly interviewed other candidates. They have talked to others. But there has been one focus of this search, and that's UConn's coach.
And you hear Shams not only talking about how the Lakers want to finally build a program. So often for the Lakers, we've talked about how the coaching has been a revolving door for them. And potentially the hiring of Dan Hurley could be a change in that direction for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, it would come, and I'm glad to hear that Dan Hurley's waiting to listen to what the Lakers have to offer, right? And I think that's more than just a contract. I think Dan Hurley is going to want assurances that he's going to be able to build something here with the Los Angeles Lakers. One of the jobs in the NBA that, a 2-year time frame on that job has typically been the thing here lately for the Lakers. So bringing in Dan Hurley would be a big part of that. Now, Woj also talking about the potential of Bronny James coming and having Dan Hurley really guide and develop, Bronny James in that sense. That brings about its own kind of questions there in regards to, are you really going to use a pick on of all players, Bronny James, for your new head coach that you're looking to build a program? But all that aside, right? All that aside, Dan Hurley seems to be the pick here for the Los Angeles Lakers per Woj, and it directly said as they are preparing a huge offer for Dan Hurley. And Hurley is one of the guys he's created a storm in college basketball. When you look at it, his record for the UConn Huskies has been 141-58. That's a 70 win total percentage. And then when you look in and add in him and his coaching overall in Rhode Island and Wagner, the guy has a record of 292-163. That's a 64% win percentage as a head coach in collegiate basketball. This is a guy who can coach. And having a system here is a big thing for that. If you can have a coach that can grow and develop your team over time, right? And we know that the Lakers still are hoping that their window is going to be open with having Anthony Davis and LeBron James. But the Lakers finally have to start preparing for a future without LeBron James and maybe even without AD at some point and start preparing for what that looks like. And so bringing in a coach like Dan Hurley, who has made so many waves throughout college basketball and has been somebody who's helped guide in the development of coaches, of players and things like that, you could do a lot worse than Dan Hurley coming in. And this would be a really solid hire by the Los Angeles Lakers. And so it seems like Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss right now are really eager to get Dan Hurley to sit down with the meeting for him. And they want to discuss the vision for the team, the future of the team, and his program and what he's done in college could transfer over to what they're trying to do with the NBA franchise in the Los Angeles Lakers. So this is a big pivot, right? Especially when you've heard before that the Lakers could have been looking at J.J. Redick, which would have been his first job as an NBA head coach, as a head coach anywhere, so to say. But you're bringing in now a 51-year-old coach in Dan Hurley who has done it. Listen, he's done it almost all at the collegiate level. And so, it is what it is when it comes down to it. Remember, the Lakers also tried to get Coach K at one point in to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And they that didn't work, right? And that was almost 20 years ago at that point. So it's not a foregone conclusion yet that Dan Hurley will become the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, but it does show a pivot by this franchise and this team to try to make to go a different route. And so when you look at the offensive actions, what Dan Hurley does as far as offense, he's a really good offensive-minded head coach. And that's not to say that he doesn't have defensive prowess as well, but he's a guy who can really craft an offensive system based around the skill set of the players, and he's really good at developing as well. So being able to bring that in, possibly using one of their picks to bring in Bronny James and things like that, it's made Hurley one of the more intriguing candidates for the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's going to take a lot if they ended up getting him. So we'll end up seeing, man. This could be big for the Lakers, and Lakers fans should be excited about this. In my opinion, this is a guy who's won at every level. He is a winning head coach, and he's shown an ability to really create a program, to really create a system, and that is what we really are starting to see. Is that franchises that really have a culture and a system are hugely important to that, to really building something sustainable, right? Not just having the flash in the pan of being able to have a year of being hot and going to the Western Conference Finals or going, to the finals and even winning the finals once. This would really be a big time move in building something that I don't think they've really had maybe since Phil was there, as far as just somebody building a program over years, right? And developing and getting to the point of something. And so Dan Hurley is still going to have tons of expectations. Let's be clear here. It's not that he's not going to come in, and they're not going to have expectations for him to have success right away. But I think this is also a play in getting in convincing him, because this is not just him having to convince the Lakers. The Lakers have to convince him that they're going to give him time to build something sustainable and meaningful in LA. And if he's able to do that, we already know the accolades that are going to come with that. If you can win in LA and you can get them a winning team that's going to win and produce over years and get titles, if you can do that, you're made immortal in a lot of ways. And so Dan Hurley, on top of what he's already done in the Big East and things like that, to come over to the NBA and be able to do it there with a franchise like the Lakers, I'm sure, if he's looking at that next hurdle and saying, hey, if I could do this, it's great. And so, coaches are always looking for new challenges. And if he does end up leaving UConn to come to the NBA, he's going to have a huge challenge with the Los Angeles Lakers. But let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Do you think that this is the right pick for the Los Angeles Lakers, considering everything going around that franchise? Let me know all that down below. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. I'm sorry, wrong show. You can follow the show at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything basketball related, and I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. We need to get back to the draft coverage. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.